Good evening, everyone. I'm Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio, and I proudly represent the 48th Assembly District, which is in the East San Gabriel Valley. And I want to thank Jason Moss and the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel Valley and Pomona Valley for serving our region. I stand before you today as a Latina and a proud member of the California Legislative Jewish Caucus. I continue to stand in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters. Today, on International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we gather to honor those who lost their lives during the Holocaust. It's spaces like these that allow our community to keep their memory alive and remind us to continue striving for a just society. I extend my deepest condolences to those who lost their loved ones during this horrific tragedy. May this commemoration and vigil strengthen our commitment towards promoting acceptance, equality, and respect across our communities. The 48th Assembly District stands united with our Jewish brothers and sisters. During these challenging times, we join together as a community to pray for all of the innocent victims. Their determination and strength remind us to continue using our voice to support the needs of our Jewish families around the world. The tragedies of October 7th are yet another reminder that we have to be vigilant. We have to educate our kids. We have to educate our communities on how not to hate. Let us not lose sight of the importance of building a strong community rooted in advocacy and unwavering resilience. I will continue to advocate for those Jewish communities in the California State Legislature and in my area. Thank you for having me.
Assemblymember Mike Fong, who represents California's 49th Assembly District, was not able to join us tonight. However, his district director, Jennifer Tang, is with us and will share remarks on his behalf. Jennifer?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Tang, and I'm here on behalf of Assemblymember Mike Fong. Thank you to Executive Director Jason Moss and the Jewish Federation for the invitation to be here tonight. Tonight we gather for a somber occasion to read the names of those murdered during the Holocaust. As the chair of the Assembly's Select Committee on Hate, Racism, and Xenophobia, events like this are incredibly important to Assemblymember Fong. We know that though the Holocaust ended 80 years ago, the hatred that fueled it lives on. We know that we must continue the work to fight hate and anti-Semitism each and every day, because no one should have to live in fear. Today, as we gather to read these names, we embody the phrase, never forget. And while many names will be read over the course of the next 24 hours, we must remember that if we were to read the names of all of those killed in the Holocaust, it would take us over 600 days. If we were to read the names of all those killed in genocide since, it would take us over 1,000 days. I'm a daughter of survivors of the Cambodian genocide, so it is really a great privilege for me to stand with you today. So on behalf of Assemblymember Mike Fong, thank you again for the kind invitation to join all of you. Thank you.
It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Reverend Mike Kinman, the rector of Pasadena All Saints Church, to share a few words.
Shalom. Representative of the Christian faith here today, I am a representative of shameful failure. We as the church were not ignorant of the Shoah. We watched as the glass was broken. We watched as our neighbors were deported. We watched as the trains were loaded. We watched and we said nothing. Now, a few did stand up, the righteous Gentiles who are honored behind me. And perhaps we like to think that if we had been alive back then, we would have been among them. We would have been among those very brave few in the confessing church, like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who said, "We must stop appealing to theology to justify our reserved silence about what the state is doing, for that is nothing but fear. Open your mouth for the one who is voiceless, For who in the church today still remembers that that is the least of the Bible's demands in times such as these? Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. And most of the Christian church was not with Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Most of the Christian church then, as it is today, chooses to remain silent in the face of what states are doing for fear of losing our own places of power and respectability. And yet, even nearly 80 years later, we have a chance to break our silence, even in this simple, powerful act of reading names. In 1978, the Greek poet Dinos Christianopoulos wrote a small couplet, which was included in the collection The Body and the Wormwood. The couplet reads, "What didn't you do to bury me, but you forgot that I was a seed?" This couplet was taken up more recently by Mexican activists who used it in support of the Ayotzinapa 43 students who were disappeared in Iguala, Mexico in 2013, saying they tried to bury us. They didn't know we are seeds. Each name that will be read here for the next 24 hours is a seed. And as we gather here each year to break the silence with their name, too many of us held then and too many of us still hold today. Each name is scattered like a seed on the ground. Seed, a reminder that there is power in each name. That the world can do everything it can to kill and to bury, but that as long as we refuse to forget, as long as we refuse to stop saying their names, as long as we let each name be a seed for never again, yes, for Jews and also for all who find themselves at the point of a gun or herded into a ghetto. Every name we read for the next day is a seed, precious and still full of life despite being buried and left for dead. The question is, will our breaking our silence in this space to say those names allow those seeds to be planted in our hearts? Seeds which will give us the courage to do today what too many of us did not do then, to stand together against anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred. To have never again not just be an empty mantra, but a commitment we make both with our lips and with our lives. Shalom.
As our commemoration ceremony concludes, I would like to invite up Rabbi Alex Weiss from Temple Beth Israel of Highland Park and Eagle Rock to say a few brief words and then lead us in the Mourner's Kaddish, Judaism's traditional memorial prayer. Rabbi Weiss.
Shalom, everyone. Thank you all for being here this evening. Friends, Jewish tradition emphasizes the power of collective memory. After all, what is Judaism but a framework for remembering together? The Torah hints at the power of memory through God's self. Whether amidst the flood or amidst the cries of the Israelites enslaved in Egypt, multiple times in our Torah, the activation of God's memory leads to action. We are likewise commanded to remember the Exodus from Egypt every day of our lives. This shared event that developed our mandate towards a sense of sacred empathy. After the destruction of the Second Temple, the memory of teachings passed from teacher to student created the Judaism that we know today. And many centuries later, after the Shoah, after the Holocaust, we've developed a renewed call towards that sacred empathy. My friends, whether here or virtually, remember that the Holocaust is not a litmus test towards our compassion. It is the rocket fuel that ignites our voices against injustices large and small, both at home and around the world. Friends, in recognition of the power of memory, let us recite the Mourner's Kaddish together, which is found on the back of this evening's program. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, be'amad divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'vyomachon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mavorach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shalom Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru amen.
We are about to start the name recitation. As I've shared, we will be doing it for 24 hours. If you are out and about, please stop by. We do have some slots available. Please see Rebecca. If you are interested, they might be very early or very late, depending on how you look at it. But even if you sit and listen, you are fulfilling the mitzvah of remembering. I also want to draw your attention to the table to my left. The American Red Cross's Holocaust tracking services are here with information about how they can help community members research what their relatives and friends went through during the war. And again, thank you to everyone for being with us tonight and for participating. You are helping us keep the memories alive and remembering that everyone has a name. Over the course of the next 24 hours, we estimate we'll be reading about 8,000 names. As Jennifer Tang mentioned, your numbers were slightly low, I'm going to tell you. If we read the names 24 hours, 8,000 names a day, it would take us 2 years and 20 days to read all 6 million. We're doing our part. We're throwing that pebble in the ocean, as Senator Portantino mentioned. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for remembering. Now, if I can have a few people come and begin the reading, what's going to happen is we are going to slowly transition into the rotunda. But in the interim, what I would love to have is we have some people that have already committed to reading some. We're going to read the names here, and then we'll slowly start making our way into the rotunda. And please, 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 make sure you take a look at the exhibition. And remember that there were people that stood up. There were people that said, I'm not okay with this, and I want to make a difference at the risk of themselves.